Welcome to the Soma Moon Wellness Podcast, a space for women at every age and stage of life to have better conversations about health, leadership, and coming home to themselves. We're here to talk about what it really means to live, lead, and create from your own internal wisdom without burning out or losing who you are. Each week, we'll share stories, science, and soul, from nervous system health and women's hormones to business rhythm and creative growth. Because when women choose to heal and lead differently, the world changes with us. I'm Jeanetta Bodie, a movement educator, somatic strategist, and co-founder of Soma Moon Wellness.
And I'm Stephanie Woods, operations strategist, systems thinker, and the other half of Soma Moon. Last podcast, we talked about significance and how both of us tied our worth to performance. Today, we're continuing the story with something only hinted at. Our partnership actually formed out of burnout and how we're doing things differently now.
Today, I was at the gym and a personal trainer came in and she was bragging about how she worked 10 hours yesterday and did a 2-hour workout, and she's so tired, and she was super crabby and not very nice and kind of being a jerk to her client. And I think in the fitness world and the wellness world, we kind of prop ourselves up, and maybe even more than just the fitness, probably corporate too. It's just been a long time since I've been in corporate. But I think there's a lot of pride in being exhausted and being burned out. Steph and I have been really intentional to call each other out when burnout becomes the goal or overperforming becomes the goal. So I want to talk about the early days of us working together versus where we are now. I've realized I've met you March of 2024, so almost 2 years. I was just telling you before we started that I feel like you're an entirely different person than I met. We are two totally different people than when we started because of our commitment to partnership with one another. So I'm curious what stands out to you of who we are now and what we do after working together for 2 years versus some of the old habits and patterns that you used to bring in from your background.
Ooh, that's a goodie. Definitely. I also observe you, Jeanetta, changed quite significantly. And I think there's a lot to do with trust and being able to use your voice. So I remember coming to you, I was quite a fragile person. I had gotten a recommendation to join the studio at Iron Crane Yoga. And I remember the first time I met you, I was so seen. I cried in a chair and just took
The
on
famous
many
green
fun-
crying chair.
Yes, that chair has had lots of tears, but it was interesting to feel we were coming from two different industries, but felt the same thing. So there was that overwhelming sense of burnout, trying your hardest, but still not getting anywhere. And for me, I had quit my full-time job, started a whole new career, and was in the midst of trying to make that transition. So having you to be able to speak with and learn from, because I switched from project management, heavy day-to-day work, those 10 to 12-hour days, and then coming in and wanting to do personal training and then learn again to teach yoga, which I've always had in my background. I think there was a sense of connection that we had when we first met. And there is always this hesitation to share how you actually feel. And that's come in from my corporate background as well, where even when I was in my early 20s, my first job, I got diagnosed with Graves' disease. I thought the responsible thing to do would be to alert my boss, who is a female, that I was going through this and I might miss some work because of appointments. But instead, she switched it back on me and made it about, oh, so we're not going to be able to expect as much from your performance. And it really caught me off guard. I thought I would have been supported in that, but I felt I needed to hide and not share anything about me. So what was interesting when I met you, Jeanetta, was I instantly felt that I could speak what I was actually feeling. You even would push at me. What are you actually feeling? The more you're able to share what you're actually feeling, relieves so much pressure and tension in the body. Over the last year or two, my journey has really been coming back to myself and figuring out how to explain to someone else or even saying out loud to myself to understand what I'm feeling has been a huge part of my transition. And I think it has for you as well.
Yeah. My background is in government, nonprofit, and like community organizations, which means we don't make a lot of money and we work our asses off. And look at us, we're doing kingdom work. We're doing like God's work. And there's some truth to that. It feels so good to help people see themselves and help people process their emotions and have that emotional, energetic connection with people. But what happens a lot of times is it creates this ego of I am not valued unless I am helping people, unless I'm like really feeling that emotional connection. And that is the biggest thing that I came away from when I closed the studio was how much the emotional work, the capacity to sit with people, holding that and just giving it and giving it and giving it and thinking, wait a second, what about my emotions? What about my health? What about my marriage? I recognized pretty early on, my husband and I had this huge blowout about year 1.5 of the studio because I got locked on of I will make the studio work and I will do this and I will work all the time. And I was giving my nights away and my weekends away. I would come home exhausted and the house was a mess. I was throwing lunches together and my husband was working a full-time job. And we'd get to the weekends and I'd be like, I don't want to do anything. I want to just sleep. My husband, he will hold his ground. One of the things and reasons why I fell in love with him is because he is who he says he is. He will not budge on a belief or a value just because it hurts somebody's feelings. That is the thing that I needed in that moment of year 1 to 2 of the studio. You're giving all of yourself away, and the family, the thing that I said and committed to that is the most important to me, is getting the worst of me. And he called me out on it. And that's a whole other story, but he called me out on it. And it was like the bottom fell out of my life and my work of, whoa, wait a second. I am giving all of my time and all of my energy and all of my emotional capacity to strangers, essentially, and expecting my family to pick up the pieces and just come along to get along because this is, again, this is kingdom work. This is good stuff. This is heart work. It's a really hard 6 months of changing that mentality because what happens is I ended up having to hire more staff. And that means one, not making as much money, and my presence in the studio goes away. So there's this massive insecurity of, am I still providing something? Am I still doing something good? And then there's kind of this weird, it happens with gym owners all the time, is that they start the gym, they're the main teacher, studio owner, they're teaching all the classes. And when they start to move more into management and hiring people, then their face goes away. And so there's like this insecurity of Jeanetta doesn't love us anymore because she's not here all the time. And you're like, no, I actually love you a lot because I want to give something good to you, but I need to take care of myself in the process. And it goes back to that conversation we had last week of significance of like, I have to belong to myself. I have to know my values and know what I believe before I can give myself away, before I can do that, because I'm going to burn out. When you think about the work that you used to do and how it became either ego building or identity, how has that changed? Or what are some of the beliefs that no longer exist anymore?
Well, some of the things I'm still working on.
Yeah. We are not perfect by any stretch of the imagination.
Yes, it's almost like when you get so stressed or you feel that you have no time in your day, those old beliefs start to surface quickly. So I can go into my old patterns, but I recognize it and I can pull out of it. So I would say one of the things that kind of has stayed with me my whole career is wanting to do everything very quickly and quality. When you talk about the studio and all the time you gave, when I used to go into an office, it was almost like butts in the seats, which is not necessarily effective, that you're just sitting at your desk and you're there from 9 to 5 or even longer, and you're just waiting. And it's almost like this culture where you feel you need to be at the office just so that you're doing something. I don't know. It's always been kind of interesting to watch that. And I would too, just keep working. And then I come home late and my husband already has dinner made and he's irritated and I'm stressed out, and kind of the similar situation happened. But what I'm able to do now is recognize like that doesn't need to be done immediately. I know that I have a list of tasks, but I can reprioritize, and it's okay if something falls to the side. I am only one person, and I think I would, again, drive and push to do my everyday 120% and be exhausted by the end of the day and not be able to give anymore. But now I can pick and choose and chunk away at everything that I'm working on. So a little bit gets done and it actually feels more grounding because I am able to touch everything and I don't need to burn myself out. That term where people are like, oh, I'm so busy. I'm so busy. We kind of create our own busy.
Yeah.
If we're not prioritizing, busy is not a positive word in my mind. It's something that you need to relook at your priorities and sort out what is the cause of creating that spiral. So it's not necessarily you're being more efficient because you're busy. Yeah. I don't really love the word busy.
I don't either. I agree. Do you remember when we started talking about partnership and we moved into this is the thing that we value? Do you remember the number one thing that we both agreed on that was our most important value?
I feel like it was family and personal time.
Yep. It was time freedom. It was the commitment that I don't want to give all my time away. I think both of us got hit in the face with I am working and I am working my ass off. For what? For 8 o'clock dinners with your husband, for coming home to when my kid is already bathed and in bed. I'm missing all of that. One of the biggest shifts that we stopped doing with Soma is we do not fit Soma work the 8 to 5, Monday through Friday box. We don't do that at all. We have different lives. You and your husband both work at home. We got a dog. My husband has more of a time commitment job. He has to be at a facility to work. And we have a son who I take on the roles of getting him to school. And so my husband and I, we want time freedom. We want to travel. We want to be able to camp. And so part of my family choice of wanting freedom has really restricted me in my ability to have a typical job. And that's actually started from the moment we got married, because when we married, he was in the military. And so he was deploying a lot. It's super complicated. It's not a right or wrong. I think it's a personal choice of you and your husband have decided together what your life wants to look like. And then my husband and I have done the same. And then you and I, as partners, came with both of those values to the table. And what does this look like? And so a lot of times my work week, I take my kid to school is at 7 and 2:15. So there's like these weird chunks of time. I have 4 hours here. One of the things that I do that I used to feel really bad about is I actually enjoy working on the weekend sometimes. If we're in town and we've done family time, the house is clean, chores are done, whatever needs to be done, and everybody's watching Netflix, I have 4 hours and I like what I do. And so I come up to my office a lot of times on the weekends and we'll work on a project that I didn't have time during the week because I'm running around doing mom stuff. So how have you adjusted that corporate world mentality into Soma language?
Yes, I too have other things that I do. I still teach yoga, so my day is kind of sporadic depending on the time chunks. And I'll fill in working on my projects whenever I feel the need or the drive. Being able to choose when you work on projects can actually make you more efficient.
Yes.
Having the flexibility to pop in, work on a project here or there, little time chunks has actually made me much more productive and happy because I do love what we're doing. And if I time blocked and had to do it, I believe I would wander or get distracted. So when I intentionally can come in and work on the project has created much more efficiencies. If you're working in a job where this might not be the case, you still have the opportunity to look at what you like throughout your day that you do. So your task-based things that you do, and then what don't you like? And a way that you can work on your schedule is if those items that you don't like take a little bit more of your energy, you can plan on when you work on those. So for me, I'm best earliest in the morning. I plan out my day to work on something that I don't necessarily care for. I have a little more energy and I'm not gonna get down in my rabbit hole while working. So there's still opportunity for any of you that are doing whatever job that you could take a look at your schedule and really start understanding what do you like and what you don't like.
Yeah.
And taking away the fear that you have those feelings. Because
Yeah.
we all have what we like and don't like.
One of the things that you just said that I have to remind myself of is that I am an incredible procrastinator. I am so good at procrastinating, and I will do all of the stupidest, most silly tasks and wait for the heaviest one at the end of the day when I'm tired. And then I'm like, oh my God, this is awful. Well, yeah, because you've exhausted all your mental stuff on stupid, minute little things instead of doing, hey, I have to call the insurance company and figure this thing out is the first thing I'm going to do in the morning because it's hard. So what Steph is saying is recognize we're adults. We got shit to do. We got to pay taxes. We got to pay bills. We got to do the things that we don't want to do, but trying to figure out how to put it in your day gives you autonomy. It gives you freedom, but you still have to do the task. I love that. And if you're like, man, I would love to do that, but that's a dream. I hear you. I'm also going to challenge you that Steph and I have done a lot of work. The definition of yoga is union of self. And to create union of your mind, your heart, and your body, you have to study yourself. I've said this 100 times that Steph and I are complete opposites of each other. Personalities, interest, skills, we are completely opposite of each other, which is why we work so well together. And we also complement each other. And one of the things that we talk about regularly is where are you in your cycle? Because the hormones that are running through your body is going to change what you want to do for the day. Yes, you have to have discipline to say these projects need to get to our client, therefore they must be done by Thursday afternoon. But there's also some play and some creativity. You're like, I have to do this. I want to do this. How do those overlay? And also, where am I in my cycle? A lot of times I will do all of my content creation and writing when I'm in follicular, and I will do all of my structuring and creating curriculum or more task-oriented work in luteal. Steph and I have worked on being very honest with, hey, I'm about to start my period tomorrow and I've got zero energy. That is not a cop-out. Like, I don't want all of the women to hear that. I'm going to get down a little bit of a rabbit hole. We'll come back to hormones on a different episode. But I think this is important that when you're in luteal is the second half of your cycle. So you pass ovulation and it's right before you start bleeding. And you have two drops. It's when your testosterone, progesterone, estrogen drop down. And I have paid attention to my body so much that I can tell when I have my first drop. It's usually 2 days after ovulation, and I have this overwhelming sense of I'm not good enough, I can't do anything, I can't focus on anything. And I've watched myself enough to have the first question come out of my mouth, where am I in my cycle? Because a lot of times when we are working on a project and we start having these insecurities, this desire to just melt to the floor and cry, for me, it's a sign of you're doing too much. My body is asking me to rest. And because I have gotten really good at overriding the system, my body has learned to create emotional signals to say, hey, pay attention, because I'm not listening to the physical pain signals. I'm listening to the heart emotional signals. And so that's just one of the ways that yoga and self-study and programs like Empower Your Core or the whole self programs that we have apply to real life. Like, we're not just doing yoga in cute little outfits on a mat. Like, this is what living yoga looks like.
One of the things that I really loved about working with Jeanetta is learning more about the living yoga. I've had my teacher training. I've recently got my 300, so now I'm 500. Woo!
Woo!
But really diving deeper into the 8 limbs of yoga, like Jeanetta said, asana, or the movement, is only one of the 8 limbs. And when you start paring it down and taking a look at all the others, it's a beautiful way to live within your life and your world and honoring your body and your whole self. I think a lot of times or maybe I should say, a lot of times I, in the past, would try to people please. I would override the system, again, push, 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 feeling that if I pushed harder, I would be seen and then people would value me more. In retrospect, I'm actually just burning myself out and creating my own stress. So coming up out of that surface and starting to understand where the regulation is happening and reading and learning to live within this beautiful body that we have has really changed a lot. So I do recommend the living yoga philosophy. And we do have a beautiful course that's
Yeah,
coming
we do.
shortly for you all that are curious about this and want to push further in your self-study.
I think everyone should go through a yoga teacher training. The yoga world is overflooded with yoga teachers. We don't need any more yoga teachers. We need people who are willing to sit in tension and stare at themselves and listen to their hearts, listen to the thoughts that are running through their head, pay attention to the somatic expressions, the feeling, the sensations. When I say somatic, I'm talking about when you get anxious and you get that gut feeling, or when you're afraid and your chest caves in. That's a somatic expression. That is what a yoga teacher training is designed to do. And that is what our living yoga program, I personally think that our yoga teacher training could be put up to anybody's in the country because it's fucking good.
It's a very different way to look at teacher training. So for me, I came from a different background in my teacher training, and we never touched on the somatic side of it. So it just opens up a whole new world. And yes, I do agree. It is one of the best ones I've ever seen.
It's life training. It's not teacher training. It's life training, and it's leadership training, because everything that we talk about in our episodes are what we've learned from the work that we actually teach. But one of the most important things that yoga, like the asana practice, so the movement practice, can do, both the asana and meditation and breath work and all kinds of things, is sitting, literally sitting. As much as I've been teaching yoga, I'm great at distracting myself. It goes back to that like busy, like I can be busy. I look at me, I'm doing good. Look at me, I've got significance. But the idea of, can I sit and do nothing? Can I sit and be still? I think why Steph and I do this well with one another is we are also doing it in our homes. My husband and I, we've been married 10 years, and we work really hard to take away this is the male role and this is the female. I grew up in the South, so there's a lot of beliefs wrapped in that, good and bad. But what he and I do that I think you and I have brought into our partnership is we have a family, and these are the jobs that all of our family needs to accomplish to get to where we want to be in life. And so it's not about this job is his job because he's a man. It's this job is his because he's more skilled in it. He has more patience in it. And quite frankly, I don't want to do dirty jobs. If it comes to a car issue, I'm out. I don't want to do it. And he knows that. And so there's this trust between the two of us. I know that he hates unloading the dishwasher, so I tend to unload the dishwasher. But I hate washing pots and pans, so I will leave them in the sink knowing that he does not mind because I unload the dishwasher. You and I have taken that into our partnership. When we started this process, we wrote down every single task that needs to be done. And we're like, okay, I like this. I don't mind that, but I don't love it. Or maybe it's a task that I want to learn how to get better at. And so we've just kind of volleyed back and forth between that. And the caveat to that whole way of working together is that if you are the lead on a project and you're like, yes, I can do this, I'm good at it, I'm skilled at it, but you're getting overwhelmed and you're not asking for help, then that's on you. We have both done that where it's like, I'm the copywriter, I'm the one that writes it. And then I'm like, I am so overwhelmed right now.
The beauty of our partnership is that we can start going down that rabbit hole, and then you start feeling overwhelmed, and the other person will be like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing the thing you don't like? I thought we talked about this. Yeah. But again, if I do all the things, then I feel I have value or significance. So coming up for air and having the ability to speak up and say, hey, I'm struggling and that's okay. Can we solve this together?
Yeah, it is a lived practice. It's very humbling every time you're like, damn it. Like, I know I didn't want to do this, but you get stuck in these old patterns. The cool thing is when you start to recognize the patterns change faster. This is something I wish I could scream at the mountaintops. Like, healing and emotional growth and therapy and all of those things do not make the fear go away. They don't make the desire for accomplishment to go away. What they do is they give you an awareness of when you are getting derailed, and you can feel it in your body and you're like, something is off. And the more you start watching yourself, the better you get at being like, oh, time out. This is old pattern. This is not a true story. I'm living this old story. And you're like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to just drop that. And you just kind of like take it off like a wet blanket that you didn't even realize you put on.
And all the weight and heaviness that you felt comes off with it.
Yeah, it does. So good. Well, if you want to learn more about us or start your own journey of self-awareness and coming home to yourself, we really, really do mean coming home to yourself. There's a sense of reawakening this little child self that we've forgotten. Please visit us at somamoonwellness.com. Our whole self courses come directly from the work that we've done for ourselves. All of the things that we're talking about, we have put them in courses so that you can process a little bit at a time, bite-sized pieces. Truly, this work has changed our partnerships, our lives, and we created Soma Moon Wellness out of this. This is our intention, is to serve women, give them better education, create better places to have conversations, and let your whole self show up. It's welcomed.
And if you'd like to get in contact or just have questions for us or about our courses, we're more than willing to jump on a call and chat with you. It'd be great to see where you're feeling stuck or challenged and how we could work together or help you on your journey.
And also, if you are a yoga studio owner or a practitioner and you want to bring more education to your clients and to your spaces, we would love to partner with you. If you are interested in hosting a workshop with us, whether it's on Zoom or in person here in Tucson, again, please reach out. We would love to have conversations. We're really we're real people. We really do answer our emails and respond. We're not just some AI bot on social. Thanks for being here with us today. It's always fun to have other people a part of our world and share that with you. Have a wonderful week. Be well, be loved, be blessed. Namaste.
Namaste.